All right, well, welcome everyone. We are here tonight for our parent workshop, Celebrating Diversity and Diverse Cultures. And we chose this topic because this month is the International Month of the Families. So we wanted to celebrate the diverse culture that we have at Wellkind School, the backgrounds of our families coming from many different countries, many different heritages. And so we thought it would be fun to highlight some of those tonight and talk about why it is important to teach young children about diversity. What are the benefits of that and how can you add that into your daily life? So let's get started. So diversity, excuse my voice, I'm losing my voice a bit here, so I'm going to do my best. Diversity refers to the presence of a wide range of identities, backgrounds, and cultures within a community or society. That's a quick little definition of diversity and what we're going to be talking about tonight. And we're particularly looking at culture. So the significant aspects of diversity are enriched perspective. So when you have a diverse climate, atmosphere, environment, you have an enriched perspective. There's an opportunity for cultural exchange and learning. Of course, there's personal growth and empathy develops from learning about other people and cultures and backgrounds. It allows for equal opportunities for everyone from different backgrounds to be able to contribute. And of course, it adds to our global connectedness as human beings, that we are all connected despite the country we might originate from, despite the background and experiences we might have, we are all connected. So there's many benefits for celebrating diversity, but three of them that I wanted to highlight are that diversity promotes inclusion and acceptance, diversity builds stronger communities, and diversity, it gives an opportunity to preserve cultural heritage. So what are some of the things that diversity and celebrating cultures teaches young children? So firstly, acceptance and respect. So by exposing children to different cultures and traditions and celebrating diversity, it helps them learn to accept and respect others who may be different from them. So this is really important, and it starts at a very young age. But it truly cultivates an attitude of inclusivity where children can learn to value individuals who are different from them rather than making judgments. So that's a really important part, is acceptance and respect. Also, celebrating cultures and diversity allows children to have an appreciation for differences. So we learn to see the beauty and the richness that different cultures bring to the world. Children can learn that diversity is something to be celebrated rather than feared. And it encourages them to embrace and learn from different perspectives. So this definitely fosters a sense of curiosity and just general openness. The next point here is empathy and compassion. So through celebrating of different cultures and exposure, children are able to develop empathy and compassion. So they learn to understand and relate to experiences and challenges and joys from people of all different backgrounds. So this extends beyond just cultural differences, but human diversity, such as abilities and beliefs and experiences. So it truly allows children to develop empathy and compassion. Next here we have cultural awareness and knowledge. So here we, in celebrating diversity and culture, we allow children to learn about various cultural practices and traditions and histories and even languages. So this really broadens children's understanding of the world, and it makes them more knowledgeable and culturally aware. So this gives children a global perspective. So gets us out of our little bubble and kind of connects them to the greater world. It also teaches open-mindedness and flexibility. This is very, very important. It allows children to be open-minded and flexible in their thinking and to approach situations from a multiple in a multiple different ways. So they're able to solve problems looking at it from different perspectives, and they view the world in that way. And then, of course, flexibility nurtures their way to adapt and appreciate different perspectives and ultimately find common ground. So that is open-mindedness and flexibility. Next, we have self-identity and pride. So when we're celebrating culture and diversity, children are able to develop a strong sense of self-identity. So they learn their own cultural heritage and traditions and values. And this gives them a sense of pride and belonging. And this is really important when they're developing their self-concept, which starts at a very young age and really all throughout life. It's something that we're all working on, is a strong sense of pride and self-concept. So this awareness helps children develop a positive self-identity while still appreciating the identities of others. The next we have is critical thinking and problem solving. So when we are celebrating cultures and diversity, this allows children to think critically and to navigate differences between people and find common ground. So they're learning to respect different viewpoints, to figure things out by analyzing situations and thinking creatively. And then they're going to find solutions that consider more people, not just one viewpoint, but consider various people based on what lens they're looking at the situation through. So that's the critical thinking and problem solving. And then lastly, here we're just highlighting just the overall celebration of humanity, because celebrating culture and diversity teaches children to appreciate the beauty and value of every human being. So this is that part of fostering interconnectedness, reminding children, teaching children that despite our differences, we're all part of a shared humanity. So these are just some of them, of course, seem like big concepts, but they really start at a young age, and the modeling that the children see throughout the way people are speaking around them, the environment, it all makes a big difference. And you can see all the ways that children benefit from the celebrating of diverse cultures and backgrounds. So we just wanted to give some examples on how children, what parents can do to teach diversity and culture at home. So, depending on your family background, you may or may not feel like you're able to, that you have maybe things to celebrate in the way of culture and diversity, depending on, what traditions were passed down in your home, in your household. What are some traditions that you are trying to continue with your family? Some families come from, very strong cultural backgrounds, and some families really have lost that. And that was a point that we said a few slides ago, which just preserving cultural heritage is something that is really important. But we haven't all been able to do that, or had, been lucky enough to have preserved a lot of traditions. So if your family has been able to do that and is currently doing that, that's wonderful. But remember that diversity is teaching children about differences as well as that common ground similarity. So if we have, if we're experiencing at home, if we're celebrating a particular culture, that's not actually diversity, right? Because that's just one culture. So it's important to, no matter what, background you may be from, that your child is experiencing other backgrounds, other cultures, so that they're able to see those similarities, see those differences, gain different perspectives. So how can you teach this at home, whether you have a rich culture at home or whether it's something that you've kind of lost and don't feel that you have much in that area? That's totally fine, because there's many ways that this can be taught. So reading diverse books, and I'm going to give you a list of books and websites on the next slide, but being able to, read diverse books. So don't always choose those typical books. Choose books that feature characters from different backgrounds and cultures and abilities. So reading these books with your child and having those conversations about different experiences and perspectives presented in the stories will really help your child build that cultural competence. Exploring global cuisine. Now this one of course, is when you get to bigger cities, you have much more of an experience there of trying maybe different foods. In our area, we definitely have the ability, but it's something that you might have to, try a little bit harder to access. But at least cooking, but at least at the very least exploring food from different cultures, even in the grocery store, just pointing out different fruits, vegetables, foods that maybe you don't eat in your home, but you can point out that that's a typical fruit that's grown in this country, and and you can look it up and tell your child about it. So just those experiences are important. If you're able to, introducing your child to new flavors and talking about the countries and the traditions associated with those dishes or foods, even considering visiting an international grocery store or a farmer's market to discover different ingredients from different cultures. So that's one. Again, you don't have to spend any money doing that, but you can at least, view it with your eyes and point those things out, so that your child gains an understanding. The next one is, if possible, attend cultural events. So I know this city does host different events, and sometimes it's not that easy to find what's going on around here, but there are some pages and sites that do try to point us in the right direction. But if you're able to participate in local cultural events or festivals or celebrations, just exposing your child to the music and the dance and the art, those traditional practices from different cultures, it really helps them start to ask questions and deepen their understanding. So that's one that hopefully we'll be able to enjoy this summer as the weather changes from now until the fall. So that's really nice. Really nice if you're able to get out and experience those things. And again, I know it's not always easy to do that, especially with the prices of things going up. And the last thing you want is to try something and be brave with buying something, and then all of a sudden your child takes one bite and doesn't like it. So again, you don't always have to be purchasing. You can do a lot of things with just pointing things out, or sometimes if you go to farmers markets, they'll give you a sample of something, or at the grocery store, they might offer a sample, so that you don't have to purchase something that would be a new flavor, a new experience for your child. Another idea, a way that you can teach diversity and culture at home, is to just learn some basic phrases. So teach your child phrases, greetings in different languages. With the world that we live in today, we have so much accessibility to so many different tools to give us those connections, those experiences. You don't even have to pronounce it or learn how to pronounce it yourself, because all you have to do is go to Google and the pronunciation is right there, and you can actually hear it. Press the voice and you'll hear it said as it's intended to be said. So learning basic phrases is a way to encourage your child to, when appropriate, try to use those greetings. And it can just this can just promote appreciation for just the linguistic diversity, because every language has its particular sounds, and some languages have sounds that we don't ever even make in the English language. Many languages do. So just giving their ear an appreciation for how many sounds could we actually make if we learned, and how many different dialects there are. So it's pretty amazing. But that just allows, again, to create a connection and a sense of connection with other cultures. And then lastly, just sharing family traditions. So it's important to share and celebrate your own family's cultural traditions and customs. Even if it's something that maybe you don't feel that you know too much about, maybe you can ask some family members, or maybe you just start your own version. Or maybe you can look it up and maybe you start your own traditional version, even if it skipped a generation in your family and it's something that you'd like to bring back, or something that you'd like to make your own. Sharing your own family's culture, traditions, and customs, it allows you to explain significance behind things. Why do we do these things? And you can involve your child in the preparation of the celebration, of the cooking, of the decorating, whatever it might be. And this truly helps your child appreciate their own heritage while still valuing diversity. So those are just a few ways that you can do teach this at home and have these conversations. Again, some of these things are really don't cost anything at all. They're just, you know, just getting yourself out there and being a little brave in stepping out of your comfort zone. So I said that I would share some recommended books. So these are books for children from 1 to 5 years old. So it's definitely for toddlers all the way up to pre-K. And these are recommended books that celebrate culture and diversity. So as you can see, the family book, Whose Toes Are Those, All Are Welcome, Global Babies. So these are all good books, good options that you can you know, either purchase at the bookstore or go to the library and, you know, look at some of these books, check some of these books out. You might even be able to see, you know, get the virtual versions online. Sometimes you can do that, so you can get free versions or hear someone on YouTube reading the book. Like teachers do that often, so you might find that as a way to get a little connected with what's available. Excuse me. And then these are just some websites and online platforms that promote the celebration of diversity and culture in our world. So these are all, excuse me, I'm so sorry, kid friendly. So Teaching Tolerance, National Geographic, some of them, of course, you know, PBS Kids, but there's the diverse bookfinders on here. So that's a nice resource. And it just gives you a good overview of what's out there, and you can explore those websites on your own. And I'll be sending this out so you have copies. If you don't take a picture now, you'll get the slides to see. So really, we were looking for some family shares. If you have a favorite family heritage memory, or if you wanted to share some traditions that you are passing down to your family, we did put this out to our families, and we got some nice responses. So I will just read a few of those out to you. If anybody wants to share, you're welcome to share now. If there's a favorite family heritage memory that you have growing up, or if there's something that you are passing down or plan on passing down in the way of traditions to your child and your family. Feel free to jump in there. I will read some of them that we got. And we're currently calculating how many languages are spoken at Wellkind and different countries that are represented. So we have quite a few countries that are represented, and we're looking for a visual way to showcase this. So you can look forward to seeing that. But a lot of the responses that we got were backgrounds that we do have in, we have families with Spanish speaking backgrounds, heritage, we have Dominican Republic, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Italian, Polish, German. So we got quite a bit of families expressing their cultural heritage. And a lot of the central themes that we got as our responses were that food and family is a very important part of get-togethers. So celebrating birthdays, Christmases, special meals, Ramadan, and a lot of people talked about the fact that many both sides of the family come together, or they celebrate in more than one location to make sure that they're spending time with both sides of the family. A lot of eating together, cooking, large dinners, music, dancing. Those are a lot of the answers that we got. decorating Christmas trees together, going out to get trees together, Italian traditions of eating fishes, the 7 fishes, and celebrating Easter. We got a lot of that with dinner, special dinners, and particular food items that are associated with certain countries as well. So, and we want to thank our families for the pictures. We got many family pictures that we are also going to be utilizing. So we're grateful for the participation there. Does anybody have any let's see. Okay, wonderful. We have bayberry candle burned on Christmas Eve, very nice, and ham and cabbage and Irish soda bread for St. Patrick's Day. Yes, yum. Wonderful, wonderful. We have quite a bit of wonderful cooks, it looks like. We have a lot of people that saying that they're the cook of the family, and they do and include the children in that preparation. So it's really nice. But yeah, and looks like even some people were noting here that in their culture, they celebrate some of the same holidays, but not always on the same days. So maybe Mother's Day, for example, is a different day. For example, celebrated May 10th in Mexico, but of course in the United States, it's always, it rotates this second Sunday, I believe it is, of May. So that date is always going to change. So there's those differences that maybe the holiday is celebrated, but not always on the same day. Maybe they have fixed holidays in that country and ours tend to rotate or vice versa. So there's those differences too that came up here in the questionnaires. But yeah, a lot of food and family, which is always nice, and a lot of good cooks. So we do have a diverse culture, and we felt it was important, especially in this month, to highlight that for everyone and to just open up the conversation of how important it is to acknowledge, celebrate, include people from all backgrounds and all cultures and traditions, so that we have an environment that truly is connected and supportive. So that's our goal, is that our parent community and our school community feels that way to all of our members. So thank you for your participation and for adding in your thoughts and your experiences. Does anybody else? Okay, great. We have the Three Kings. Perfect. So the Three Kings celebrated in January. So that is of the Hispanic culture traditionally, where you would celebrate the Three Kings coming to visit, similar to maybe Santa stopping by. The Three Kings would stop by on their journey to visit baby Jesus. So those are other traditions that are celebrated in our community, and that's wonderful. And everyone, again, would have a different way of doing that. So even though, just like we have here, ham and cabbage and Irish soda bread for St. Patrick's Day, those are typical traditions associated with St. Patrick's Day, but every family that does celebrate may do that in a slightly different way. So maybe someone has ham and cabbage for breakfast. I don't know. Someone may, eat Irish soda bread for a few days in a row or only after a certain date. So just to remember that even those traditions vary family to family, because everybody's family has made it their own. So that's something that's also important, that we remember that there's not one way. There's many ways to celebrate a holiday. So, but it's fun to hear about how other people do and to learn more about it. And again, we heard how that benefits young children. And again, we model that through our language, how we talk about things, what we're interested in, how curious we are to learn, and what we point out to the children. That's what they, then get more curious about. So it's all up to us to kind of make sure that we are being the best role models that we can in all of these areas. Wonderful. So we have another one here. So we celebrate Dashan and Dipwali in the month of October and November. So I hope I pronounced those correctly. If you if anybody would like to share a little bit about any of those, what that means to the family or how that's celebrated, we'd love to hear about it. But thank you for participating there. So again, every month has a special meaning, right? So if you celebrate either of those holidays in October and November are particularly important to your family. So that's why we just really never know. Each individual family might be having a very special celebration in their home that's not traditionally celebrated in the United States, or wouldn't be, sold in the grocery store. A card, a Hallmark card may not be sold for that holiday. Doesn't mean that it's not extremely significant to a family. So that's one of the beauties of having a diverse school environment, is we're getting a mixture of many different beautiful family traditions that are just woven into the culture of the community. So wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So thank you for participating in the chat. Again, this topic was chosen because of the month that we're in, May, which is International Day of the Families, was this month. So we felt it important to draw some attention to this topic. But if it's something that you're interested in or like to learn more about, or there's some more things that you'd like to share, please do so, because we love to hear about it. And as I mentioned, we'll be trying to find a way to showcase all of the families that are enrolled in WellKind, and countries that maybe they are originated from or have close cultural ties too. So that's going to be really neat to see. So without further ado, if no one has anything else to say, I will be wrapping up this parent workshop tonight, and we look forward to the next one. I thank you for signing on tonight. Thank you for your responses. I tried to read through as much as I could here. I tried to kind of give a resume of everything that we've seen. Just looking to see if I missed anything else. Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of different. One thing that I didn't mention, which is really neat, is watching Native movies. So talking in the Native language at home is a way that families celebrate watching Native movies, and occasionally going to Indian church, which is really nice, dressing in Indian clothing for events, eating Indian food, wonderful. So these are all other ways. So sometimes just watching, there's certain music and certain movies that are associated with within different cultures and different times of year, maybe they're shown. So that's another way to experience culture and keep those close ties. So that's really nice. But yeah, I think we mentioned most everyone on here in different ways. So I'm going to wrap up the call if nobody has anything else to share or add. But I appreciate everyone's time. And again, these are short workshops. They're only about 30 to 40 minutes long, but we really appreciate participation. So if you participated tonight, let somebody know about it. Say, hey, why don't you hop on the call next time? Because we'd really like to have, a lot of participation so that we can have some dialogue, some questions, some sharing where you get to know other people within the community, and we can learn from each other, because that's the whole point of the workshops, is to learn. So thank you for coming tonight and bearing with me with my scratchy voice here. I'm thankful that you're here with us tonight, and see you all tomorrow. Have a good night.